The percussion you typically do on the guitar and through voice, is that right?
Yes, yes. I'll do some beatboxing, or I'll bang on the guitar, make a drum beat. You'd be surprised how many different sounds you can make just by hitting different parts of the guitar. But yeah, so far it's been sufficient, but I would like for it to get even more so. So I'm always practicing, new sounds with my mouth, or new sounds on the guitar to try to make things a little different. Because I don't ever want my music to sound the same. I'll play one song and then the next song sounds completely different. And then the next song sounds completely different. And I like having that flexibility. That's what keeps it interesting for a crowd. Like, I played a private party this last Friday, and most of the gigs I play, it's in a loud bar. Everybody's getting drunk. Everybody's yelling. They're talking loud. And my niche is lyrics. I do looping, and that makes me stand out. But my lyrics are what I'm really good at. It's what I've always been good at. And I can't reach as many people. I can't reach their heart if they're all being loud or talking. So I played this private party that had like 60 people there, and they had chairs spread out, and everybody was silent for like an hour and a half. Everybody was dead silent, and I was able to reach so many more people. And those are my favorite kinds of shows. They're very hard to find because the people have to be aware. Hey, don't be on your phone. Don't be talking, because if they're not aware of that, they're going to do it anyway. They're going to conversate with each other. They're not going to give you their full attention. So those are my favorite kind of shows, because you can play a high energy song and then strip it down to right at the next song, play some really, heart wrenching song, and it's dead silent, and it really reaches them. And in my opinion, the reason that there's music is to connect to people, to make them feel something, to make them forget about their problems. Even if it's for only 3 minutes and 20 seconds, that's what music encapsulates to me. That's what it means.
So I've heard your singles. Let me ask, because I don't even know if this is still a thing. Do you have like a full album out there? Is that?
I don't have a full album. I have enough songs to release an album. I just haven't put it together. I did last year. I listen to all these music podcasts, and they all talk about, oh yeah, release a single every month, for a year, release a single every month. And I always heard that for about 2 years. I heard everybody say that, but I never saw anyone actually do it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that. So last year I released a single every month. I released 13 in a year, and it does help. You gain a lot of traction with that. People are like, man, you're always putting out music. But at the same time, I don't feel like that's the right way to go now, because when you do it every month, you don't have the money to put behind it to push it like it really needs to be pushed in order for it to get more exposure. But my philosophy has always been, I'm just going to record and release as much music as I can, because that's what I want to leave this world with. I want to leave them with all these songs. There's a lyric in one of my songs we just recorded last month that says, I'm scared I'll die too young with new songs still trapped inside these lungs. And I feel like I just have to get it out. And whether it, makes it big, or whether it just, is in the local area, I just want the message to be heard. So I'm planning on putting an album out. I just need to get all the songs together and, pay for the distribution and make a album cover, and I could release it, in a month. We just finished a song yesterday in the studio that's a collaboration, and I just love doing collaborations too. It's with another Houston local artist. Her name is Rachel Winters. Killer singer. But yeah, I'm excited about that. I have 2 right now that I haven't released yet that are done. So I'll have 2 singles out within the next couple months for sure.
That's an interesting concept to do 1 per month like that. Now it's got to be, I would say that's probably pushes you to have kind of like a timeline for when each one is done. Like
right.
Because I can, if you go, you have, some artists out there that'll go 10 years, that there was a Chinese democracy that started in the mid 90s and then finished in like 2013 or something like that.
Right.
Axl Rose. So I would imagine that it probably helps to have a set timeline and a deadline for, a start to finish like that. And then maybe at the end of the year, pull it all together, release the album, then push it. What's it like? What's it like?
Keeps you accountable.
Go ahead. Say again.
I said it keeps you accountable for sure.
Yeah. What's it like releasing those, and what's typically the pushed on through social media to help get exposure? What's kind of like the ideal situation?
Well, the ideal situation keeps changing. Everybody thinks they know the way to push the single, and then you try that, and you realize that wasn't the way, and then so you have to look for another one. There's a lot of scams, and there's a lot of fake companies in the music business. I've been screwed over many, many times. You pay for these, for them to push it, and they even send you the numbers like it is being pushed, and then you realize those are just fake accounts. Those are bots. So it's very hard to know which direction to go. And if I found that already, I probably would I would have used that. But everybody has a different opinion, and so it's kind of like, well, I don't know what to do. I've done this. I've tried this. I've tried this. I've tried this. So it's just about a trying process of elimination until you find one that really, really works. That's actually what's the word? Organic. Mm-hmm. Once you find something organic, then it'll catch on like wildfire. But it's all about finding that.
Yeah, just everything I read, it seems like the money for the artist is done in those live shows, and then it's also it's how many people are getting to show up and pay ticket price. Is that kind of what you're seeing? Is that where you make the bulk of the money from within your operation, or do you see some additional revenue coming in from those singles that you post online?
Both, but the singles, like I'll give you an example. Last year when I released one every month, I made $250 for the whole year. Mm-hmm. That's what the singles brought in. That was just from streaming or something like that. So it doesn't bring in a lot of money at all. Not enough to live on. The bulk of the money I get is from playing shows, and from merch, but there's two types of shows. There's the show where you sell tickets and you go and you play like a 45-minute set, or you play an hour-long set, and there's those, and that's all original music, and people are all at the front, and they're singing along with you. Those are the fun shows. Those are the shows that satisfy your soul. And then there's the other shows, which is like the 3-hour, 4-hour shows, which technically they're supposed to be cover shows. Mm-hmm. But I've always done it different. I'll be on the phone and say, oh yeah, okay, 4 hours. And they'll say, well, it's 80% covers, 20% originals. And I'll show up and I'll do the exact opposite. Mm-hmm. I'll do 80% originals and 20% covers, and nobody complains. Everybody loves it. So I feel like that's a hurdle that most musicians can't jump. They feel like they have to play somebody else's songs. I just refuse to. I'm not going to play a bunch of other people's songs. The whole reason I'm playing is to have that message be heard. So of course I'm going to play my own stuff. But those shows, the 3-4 hour shows, for a 3-hour to 4-hour show, I charge $350 to $400. And that's not selling any merch. That's not including tips. So the bulk of the money is in the long shows. But those shows, they tend to hurt a little bit, because you're technically background music, and people are eating dinner, or they're not really paying attention. They're just kind of doing their own thing, and you're providing a background type of entertainment. The other shows, the hour-long shows, it's like you're the center of attention. They're all yelling, and their hands are up, they're clapping with you. But it's harder to do that at like a wine bar or a fancy restaurant, that you're just in the back corner. So the bulk of the money comes from those long shows, but the satisfying comes from the shorter ones that, people are there and they're actually paying attention.
Is that kind of like is that kind of like Rustic? Rustic has those, I want to say those hour long shows, I want to say that they do. That's I don't think they bring in cover bands. I want to say that most of the bands that I've seen there are true to their form. Is that correct or no?
I've played at the Rustic a couple times, and the Rustic, I think it depends on the artist with the Rustic, because when I played there, it's been kind of in the background music. Both times I played there was a 2-hour set. But the bigger artists, of course, everybody's going to come and pay attention to them, because they're a bigger artist. They're fans of them. But for the people that don't, when you have an artist playing and nobody knows who it is, that's kind of like more in the background. So I've never been there when they had a big artist play. I've only been there to perform whenever I did. And when I did, it was in the background. But it was, I mean, it was a great gig. I mean, you get, even though the biggest difference is with the hour-long shows that people come to see you play, you have a line of people waiting to talk to you when you get off stage.
Gotcha.
At the background music shows, nobody ever comes up and talks to you, but they still look you up on their phone. They still follow you. They still listen to your music. So technically it's still a win, but it just doesn't, you don't have the people that are like, oh my God, I love what you do. And there's something spiritual about it. And, that song, man, it meant so much to me. I went through something like that. You don't have those types of conversations. But they still look you up. They still listen to music. So I still consider it a win.
What was it like playing the rodeo?
It was interesting. They came and picked me up in a golf cart. And I didn't have to go through security or wait in line. They kind of just drove around. So it kind of felt like your star treatment, And then when I got there, there was a guy on stage before me, cowboy boots, big buckle, cowboy hat, super country. He was really good too, super country. And I'm looking around and it's like a sea of cowboy hats, and you're like, man, these are like the real cowboys too. These aren't just like people that wanted to buy one. Like they probably wear this every day. So, and my music is not necessarily country. So I thought to myself, I'm like, man, they're going to get something completely different here in a minute. And, but they loved it. They loved what I did. I had people walk by and stop and, just like check you, like listen for a minute. They'd listen to a couple songs and then they'd move on because it was next to a bunch of vendors and it was inside the, NRG Center. And there was only one stage in there. So the music, even though some of them weren't standing in front of you, the music traveled through the whole building. So no matter where you were in the building, you could hear what I was doing, which was really cool. But then after it was over, it was like the golf cart guy showed up and it was like, all right, get your stuff, let's go. And everything was rushed, and I got back to my car, I put all my stuff away and I was like, man, I don't even want to go back in. Like, I just want to leave because it was so fast. Everything happened so fast. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully I get to do that next year, and I didn't even expect to get that gig. I auditioned for it and I was like, yeah, why not? I'm not going to get this, but why not? And they were like, oh yeah, we would love to have you. And so it was kind of like applying for a job that you don't think you're qualified for. And then all of a sudden you get the job. Mm-hmm. So that was a cool feeling. That was a really cool feeling.
I ain't sorry, no, if you get bothered with what I do, 'cause I'm a one-man band and I'm just trying to make a difference. Are you listening to the lyrics that I'm spitting good? Tell me, can you feel me? And are we on the same page? 'Cause we all cooped up in the world these days. Everybody's scared to go outside, but you gotta go get your dreams. And don't be sorry, no, when they get bothered, 'cause they will, but they can't harm you, no. So it don't matter, shake the ladder.